In the previous tutorial, we set up these text objects that are going to be the text for displaying the names of our objects in our inventory container. And we used this dummy object in order to do our measurements to see how we wanted to line up these text objects. But we talked a little bit about how that could be really time consuming, trying to set these up by hand the whole time. So we're going to use our code to generate these text objects for us. So the first thing that we're going to do is let's get rid of these on the screen. Okay, I'm going to hit the delete key for these. They're not deleting them from our objects panel here, just from this screen. And let's get rid of our dummy object because we don't need that right now anyway. And let's go back into our global variable section. And we already have a menu structure here with some information for our various menus that we have. And we've got an inventory container here. So let's go ahead and add 5 more child variables to this one. Okay, and we're going to call these slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, and slot 5. Okay? And each one of these is going to have 2 child variables under it. Let's call this one txtx. There's a reason for that. Now, these are just my names for my variables. You could call these something else. I'll just explain the reason why I'm calling this txtx and txty is because I think in the future we might add another x and y here for the little sprites that we're going to use for the pictures for our items. So I'm keeping those txtx to show that they're for our text objects. Let's do 2 more here. txtx, txty. Let's keep going. Just 1 more left right now. Okay, and we can actually hard code the information in this right now. So let's do that. For slot 1, let's get our information that we established last tutorial. For slot 1, we've got an x1 of 45 and a y1 of 90. Okay, for slot 2, we've got an x2 of 171 and a y2 of 90. So 171, 90. For slot 3, we've got 314 and 90. And this is where it changes a little bit. Slot 4 is 110 and 164. And the last one, we've got 248 and 164. Okay, as always, make sure you hit apply before you leave. Okay, so we've got some coordinates here. Let's see if we can make those slot texts appear. Let's go to our main event. Let's add an empty event here. And let's do some testing first. It's never a bad idea to test something first. So I'm going to set up a condition here of a keyboard key release, excuse me. And we're going to choose D for debugging. So when we hit the D key and we release it, we're going to have this happen. Let's go ahead and just try to make slot 1 appear. Common actions for all objects. Objects, and we're going to do create an object. And we're going to create slot 1. Now, you might be tempted to just do the following. Choose our variable. Where is it? Here it is. Value of a global variable, right? We set up those nice little variables right there. Slot 1, txtx. Hit apply. Let's go ahead and copy that. Control C, Control V, paste, slot1.txt y. Now you have to remember to choose the correct layer, right? We want to connect this object with a layer. It's the inventory layer. And hit OK. Now when we run this, we hit I to bring up our inventory. Then we hit D, and nothing happened. Well, nothing happened for a few reasons, okay? The first one has to do with something we've run into before, which is, if you recall, there's a reason why Bob is sitting behind our dialog container here, right? And that's because the Z order. The Z order for our dialog container is 501. For Bob, let's see if we can get Bob there. Bob's Z order is 505, but they're in different layers. So, if we associate with the same layer, if both Bob and the dialog are on the same layer, which one would be on top? Bob would be, because he has the higher Z order. We need to tell gdevelop to give our brand new object we just created a higher Z order than our inventory container here. So what's the Z order of the inventory container? You see it up there? 507. That means we need to make the Z order here, and we can do that. Common actions again, Z order. We need to make it at least one bigger than 507. Let's do 508. Now let's see how we did. So I'm going to hit I. Now I'm going to hit D. Oh, it's off. Well, why is it off? Okay. It's off because it did its measurement from 0 here. We didn't tell it to start its measurement from 0 here. So let's go do that. Let's go back into our code here, and we'll click over here, and we'll go into here, and common expressions. Let's go to position, and the X position of our inventory container. So we've got our X here, right? It starts from 0, 0, and then we need to add this amount, right? So it's 0, 0 plus that first number, 45. So now let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll paste here and just change this to inventory container Y. Again, the layer we have to associate with it is inventory. Let's see how we did now. And we'll hit D. There it is. Okay, let's set up the next one. We're going to end up doing the same thing, actually. We can do copy, paste, copy, paste, and we just have to change a couple of things here. So for this one, we're creating slot 2. We're doing slot 2 and slot 2. Everything else stays the same. We do need to change the Z order here. Let's up it by 1. And if we did that correctly, it should show up where we want it to. Let's hit the D key. And it didn't happen. Let's see, what did I miss? Oh, slot 1 Z order. You probably saw that before I did. Let's change the Z order of slot 2. That should do it. There it is. Okay, let's get these all done here. We'll do another copy, paste, copy, paste. Change this, slot 3. Where else do I need to change? To slot 3. Slot 3 here. And the Z order, change that to 510. Let's try to do a couple, let's do the whole thing here. This now changes to slot 4. $5.11. And last one. Okay, this should now bring up our entire menu. There it is. We can now generate that whenever we want. Okay,